You think you know yourself, but your brain is lying to you every single day, and I can prove it in the next 90 seconds. The way you argue, the friends you keep, even how you scroll through your phone right now, they're all revealing things about your personality you've never noticed.
Because these patterns don't just shape your decisions, they predict your future.
Repeatable chunks. Mirror emotions. If you feel drained after being around certain people, you're not weak. You're an emotional sponge. Psychologists call this high emotional absorption. Picture this. Your friend vents for an hour, and suddenly you feel anxious even though nothing happened to you. Your brain literally mirrors their emotional state through something called limbic resonance. It's exhausting your nervous system. Fix: limit exposure to chronic complainers or set a timer for heavy conversations. But here's what most people miss about empathy.
The way you fight reveals if you're secure or terrified. People who bring up old issues during arguments aren't petty. They're operating from unresolved trauma patterns. Imagine you're arguing about dishes, but suddenly last year's birthday comes up. That's your brain trying to settle old emotional debts. Studies show this increases cortisol and prevents conflict resolution. You're not solving problems, you're collecting them. Fix: say, I need to address one thing at a time, and mean it. And speaking of what you avoid,
joke deflection. If you turn everything into a joke, you're not funny, you're afraid. Humor deflection is a defense mechanism against vulnerability. Picture someone asking, "How are you really doing?" and you immediately crack a joke to change the subject. Your brain associates sincerity with danger, so it redirects. This keeps people at arm's length while you slowly isolate yourself. Fix: practice responding seriously to one genuine question per day. But isolation isn't your only tell. Phone checking. How often you check your phone reveals your anxiety baseline. Compulsive checkers aren't addicted to content, they're avoiding discomfort with stillness. You're in line at the coffee shop. 5 seconds of silence, phone is already out. This constant stimulation floods your brain with micro-dopamine hits while eroding your ability to sit with boredom. You're training yourself to need distraction. Fix: leave your phone in another room for 30 minutes daily. And what you do in those quiet moments matters, because
lateness pattern. Chronic lateness isn't about time management, it's about control. People who are always late subconsciously resist other people's schedules as a power move. Think about it. Someone who's late to coffee with you, but never late to their boss. That's selective, not accidental. Your brain is asserting autonomy by making others wait, but you're burning trust with everyone around you. Fix: set alarms 15 minutes earlier than you think you need. But time isn't the only thing you're controlling.
Oversharing online. If you share everything online, you're not authentic. You're seeking external validation for internal worth. Oversharing is a symptom of unstable self-concept. Someone posts their entire relationship drama, breakup, and new partner within 3 months, all publicly. When self-esteem comes from likes and comments, your identity becomes dependent on strangers. You're outsourcing your sense of self. Fix: ask, who is this post really for, before you share. And validation seeking shows up in another way. Yes. Pattern. Saying yes to everything doesn't make you helpful, it makes you invisible. Chronic people pleasers have weak identity boundaries and fear rejection more than exhaustion. Your coworker asks you to cover their shift for the 3rd time this month. You're furious, but you say yes anyway. Your brain believes that being needed equals being loved, so you sacrifice your time to feel secure, but resentment builds silently. Fix: practice saying, "I can't this time," without explaining why. Which brings us to how you handle being told no.
Criticism response. How you react to criticism reveals your core wound. People who get defensive immediately aren't protecting their actions, they're protecting their childhood. Someone gives you constructive feedback at work and your chest tightens. You feel attacked. Maybe you shut down or lash out. That's your inner child reacting to perceived rejection. Your amygdala hijacks rational thought because criticism once meant you weren't safe. Fix: wait 5 seconds before responding to any critique. But childhood patterns don't stop there.
Gift giving. How you give gifts shows how you want to receive love. If you buy expensive gifts, you equate material value with emotional value. Imagine, you spend $200 on someone's birthday, but feel hurt when they forget yours entirely. Your brain learned early that things equal affection, so you express love the only way you know how, through stuff, but you're measuring love in dollars. Fix: practice giving time or words instead of things once. And the way you show love connects to
Finishing sentences. If you finish people's sentences, you're not smart, you're impatient. Interrupters have anxious attachment and need to prove their intelligence constantly. You're in conversation and the person pauses to think. You jump in with what you think they'll say. This tells your brain you're more important than listening. Over time, people stop sharing with you because you never truly heard them anyway. Fix: count to 3 after someone stops talking before you speak. Speaking of listening, music volume. How loud you play music reveals what you're running from. People who need constant loud noise are drowning out intrusive thoughts. You're alone at home and the silence feels suffocating, so the volume goes to max. Your brain uses auditory input to avoid processing uncomfortable emotions. But those thoughts are still there. You're just postponing the breakdown. Fix: sit in silence for 5 minutes and notice what comes up. Because what you're avoiding eventually surfaces.
Apology frequency. If you apologize for everything, you're not polite. You're still in survival mode. Over-apologizers learned early that preemptive sorries could prevent anger. Someone bumps into you and you immediately say sorry, or you apologize before asking a simple question. Your nervous system is stuck in fawn response. You're trying to shrink yourself so you don't trigger someone else's rage, but you're teaching people you don't deserve space. Fix: replace sorry with thank you. Thanks for your patience instead of sorry I'm late.
Summary: your hidden behaviors aren't random. They're blueprints. The way you deflect, attach, avoid, and connect all trace back to one thing: what you learned about yourself before you could think for yourself. And here's the truth most psychology channels won't tell you: awareness without action is just entertainment.
If this made you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is information. Subscribe if you want more psychology that actually makes you think instead of just feel better for 8 minutes. And if you recognized yourself in 3 or more of these, you've got work to do. Not tomorrow, today. See you in the next one.